right, and welcome back to Around the Waves on KCOU 88.1 FM Columbia, the student voice of your Missouri Tigers. And we're going to get to some NFL coverage. The AFC West has presented the football world with a surprise as the Kansas City Chiefs aren't running away with the division yet this year, as they are third with a 1-1 record. Both the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos enter this weekend's action with a 2-0 record, exceeding expectations that were set forth from Football Analysis in the offseason. Both squads missed the postseason during the 2020 season campaign. One could argue that the Raiders have had the most exciting offense thus far, with Derek Carr looking like a legitimate MVP candidate, while the Broncos offense has looked better with Teddy Bridgewater under the helm, and the defense continues to fly under the radar, as someone else could argue. All right, Ryan, I'll start with you here. Which 2-0 team is a bigger threat to the Chiefs in the AFC West? Is it the Raiders or the Broncos?
Both teams, without a doubt, really good this year. Obviously, both Teddy Bridgewater coming out from the scene and having a 592 yards or passing yards already is outrageous.
Who would have guessed that he'd be good in Denver?
That's what I'm saying.
No,
exactly. And then obviously you have Derek Carr doing his thing over there in Las Vegas, 817 yards. But when I think about what team's going to be better, to me it just kind of comes down to the rushing yards, because you know that both of these quarterbacks are going to be having good games, especially when they face the Chiefs. I want to give the upside to the Raiders because they have a quarterback who's he's a lot better than Teddy Bridgewater. But this year, I think it just might be different. Teddy B just seems to be a different animal. And then obviously with the rushing yards, Melvin Gordon III has 132 to Josh Jacobs 34. And I could be wrong about this, but is Josh Jacobs injured?
I have no clue. He didn't even play in the last.
That's what I thought.
He's got a nagging injury.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Wasn't it Peyton Barber that was replacing him?
And Kenyon Drake.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to give the advantage to the Denver Broncos here, just because I think that Teddy B, he's a different animal, obviously different scenery out there in Denver. Like Ben said, who thought that he would be good? He seems to get that running game working with Melvin Gordon III, and then you got Cortland Sutton, who has 173 receiving yards. And obviously, I think Denver's doing a great job on the defense side of things this year. And I think that Denver would be the better team. I think this is more of like in the past too, when the Chiefs and the Broncos always fought it out. But I honestly think that this year, both of these teams can come up close to the Chiefs, but I just think the Broncos can beat them.
All right.
Hold on a second. Which one are you? You just confused me. You start with the Raiders, and then you go to the Broncos.
Right.
He's high on both teams, but he's taking Denver.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you guys know I'm high on Denver. I've been high on Denver. But what I love about the Raiders is their defense has surprised me. If you look at just the point totals, it's not fantastic. But if you dive deeper into that, Max Crosby has been really good on that defensive line that I didn't see coming. If you watched him chase down Lamar Jackson,
he's special.
That dude is super athletic. So that's something that I did not see coming. It's something that I really love and gives me hope about the Raiders contending with the Chiefs. The Raiders actually beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead last year. Different circumstances, not as many fans.
Exactly.
But Derek Carr has been fantastic this year. 817 yards in 2 games. That bomb to Henry Ruggs to seal it in Pittsburgh last week was fantastic. Darren Waller, I need to talk about too. Darren Waller could put himself in the conversation for Offensive Player of the Year because he has just been unguardable for 2 weeks. So the Raiders' offense, which in my words is just weirdly good, has the potential to keep up with that Kansas City offense, and the surprisingly better Raiders defense, which I thought was going to suck once again. I know it's been 2 games, but I just, as much as I like Denver, I like Kansas City's chances, or I like the Raiders' chances to win in a shootout with Kansas City, just because that offense, like I said, is weirdly good. So I'm gonna take the Raiders, but I can see both teams, like Ryan said, I think have good rosters.
Well, absolutely. We can all agree on that. And second of all, Darren Waller being Offensive Player of the Year, you can absolutely argue that for right now, and you can also argue the fact that he is the 3rd best tight end in football. So we can also argue that too. And I understand that the Raiders' defense right now, it's a better defense than it was projected. You have playmakers like you mentioned in Max Crosby. You got KJ Wright. You got Cameron Hayward. You got Denzel Perrymore and others that are just contributing to this defense. They are better than anticipated. We also cannot ignore the fact that they went up against Baltimore in week 1. They stunned them at home, and then they go on the road to Pittsburgh last week and stunned them on the road, which Pittsburgh's defense is no joke. But we cannot ignore the fact that Teddy Bridgewater is balling out right now. I was wrong in the preseason. Teddy Bridgewater has been very good. I understand they have not played the best teams in the National Football League, but we cannot ignore how they've been playing right now. He also doesn't look like Drew Lock under the helm. So let's also acknowledge the fact that Teddy Bridgewater still can ball. He did not look like that in Carolina, but damn, he could still play. Okay? He is just a player with high intellect. Okay? He is just making smart decisions with the football. But he was compromised with his mobility for a bit, which we saw last year in Carolina, and we saw that a little bit in New Orleans. Now we see him utilizing that mobility he has. His mobility is almost now working with the mental aspect of things, and he's moving the chains with his legs when the pocket collapses, which we can talk about how the Broncos' offensive line has improved as well. He is pushing down the football down the field, which I don't think I've really seen much.
No, not at all.
I didn't see that in Carolina, but now he is pushing down the football, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due to head coach Vic Fangio, even though he's responsible for the defense. But he is no scrub, okay? And he's keeping defenses on their toes because he is keeping them alert, saying, hey, I'm going to throw it down the field, and you better be ready in that secondary, okay? He is utilizing those pieces available to him at his disposal. Obviously, Noah Fant, he is fantastic so far. I'm not even going to get into Cortland Sutton because how great he is. Hamler, you got Tim Patrick. These are playmakers doing their thing without Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy's still out. I don't know when he's coming back, but he is hurt, and he's a little injury prone, but that's a discussion for another day. But you have a running game right now in Javonte Williams, and you got Melvin Gordon III as your backup, and that defense is elite. It is still elite.
Yep.
You got a defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio, no stranger to Chicago. You got two cornerbacks in Bryce Callahan and Kyle Fuller, which are no strangers to Chicago, either two of the best cornerbacks that Chicago's ever seen, which Chicago stupidly did not pay Kyle Fuller. Well, that's another story. But you have a defensive wizard who has done such a phenomenal job in Denver, and he has been responsible for those defenses in the last couple of years, and he was responsible for the defenses in Chicago. There was a huge part that he played in Chicago where he transitioned to Denver and Chuck Pagano took over, and there was a huge realization that Vic Fangio should have never left, but he left for Denver. The reason Denver has been so horrible and so god-awful is because Drew Lock was not a good quarterback. It took that long to figure that out, but that's neither here or there. They got Teddy Bridgewater now. He has looked fantastic. And are we going to ignore the fact of Patrick Surtain? He has looked phenomenal. He was clearly the right pick for the Denver Broncos. He is just creating havoc within that offense, the opposing offenses. He is using that physicality. He can play man. He can play zone. This dude can do anything. But what I have with the concern as of right now, yes, they have not played the best teams, but they are utilizing everything they have. But the problem is, what if they are not ahead in games? Can Teddy Bridgewater bring back a comeback against teams like the Chiefs? I'm not going to get to the Chargers yet because I still got to see more with them. But I'm just saying as of right now, if the Chiefs were to play this team right now, the Chiefs' defense is god-awful, okay? Their offense is good, but I believe when you have playmakers on the defense like Kareem Jackson, when you have Von Miller, you have Bradley Chubb just creating havoc, and when you have something like that and people in your secondary minimizing the amount of space you have on offense, I honestly think that the Denver Broncos can be creating noise this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this Denver defense will be the best Denver defense that Mahomes has faced since he's been a member of the Chiefs. Most years when he's played them, Denver's had good defense, but they've often been missing pieces. Von Miller missed all of last year. He's already back and got 3 sacks in 2 games. So this will be the best Denver defense Mahomes has faced. And I have enough Teddy Bridgewater, if you remember, led the Carolina Panthers on a comeback into a narrow loss in Arrowhead last year.
Okay.
I know it's different circumstances, but this is arguably the best set of weapons that Teddy has had throughout his career. Maybe New Orleans when they were all healthy and he was playing there. But either way, I've got confidence. They're probably going to – they should start 3-0. They play the Jets this weekend. But I think once this team gets on a roll, that secondary, Kyle Fuller is going to be one of the most underrated signings of the whole offseason.
I'm so mad about
It's
that.
insane that they got him. As soon as he got cut from Chicago, me and all my friends were like, Denver, Vic Fangio, he's got to go there.
Yep.
That cornerback room you mentioned with Surtain as well and Callahan,
Oh,
that room
it is
sick.
phenomenal.
It is awesome. Yeah.
But before we go to the next topic, I'm going to give it back to you. I just want to give, you mentioned Carolina. I'm going to give Carolina some props here. Matt Rule knows how he can coach. This man can coach. And Sam Darnold actually doesn't look terrible because he's not with Adam Gase. Go on, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, so I just want to give a timeout for Jerry Jeudy, 4 to 6 weeks.
Thank you.
And it seems like a game that he could potentially be coming back for, Raiders at Broncos.
Oh, well. Well, we'll see when that happens because I'm curious if we happen to revisit this topic, who's better at the time. The reason I'm a little sketchy about the Raiders is because we have seen this before.
Right.
That's the problem. But maybe this year's the year. I don't know. John Gruden has done a great job.